Dear subscribers, hello. Today, the founder of FMS Pro has joined us. His name is Noah Eisenberg. Hi, Noah. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Please share your background with us.
So I'm Noah. I'm the founder and director of FMS Pro. I started this 3 years ago, and it's been very cool. And we've grown a lot, and I have an amazing team, and I'm very happy to be here tonight.
Perfect. We want to know, did you play soccer when you were younger?
I did. So I played growing up in Quebec, and then at 17, I went on to a boarding school where I played prep school in the U.S. Finished my high school there. I actually graduated in Quebec, and then instead of doing CEGEP for those in Quebec, I went on to the U.S., did grade 12, did a postgraduate year. Then I went on to play university, and then I went on to play in Europe, and I got my degree in sports management.
Where do you play in Europe?
I played in Belgium for a little bit. I played in Northern Ireland. I spent some time in Wales and Gibraltar, small country near Spain.
Okay. Can you tell us in which division did you play?
So in Belgium, I spent some time. I was not signed, but I did spend some time in the first division with the reserves. In Northern Ireland, I spent some time a little bit in the first, second, and third division, all three. In Wales, I was in the second division. And in Gibraltar, I was in the first division.
Perfect. Who would you say was your role model or your favorite player growing up?
My favorite player growing up was probably, I'm definitely going to get hatred for this one. I like David Beckham, because my biggest thing was I like to shoot. And I thought he had an amazing shot and he scored crazy free kicks. So, that was my, at least, time era. In 2006, when I was young, I remember watching him on TV.
Okay. Wow. Was there another player that you really liked?
Yeah, of course. Messi is obviously amazing, and Ronaldo's amazing. And there's so many good players. Everyone likes Pogba, but I think for me, I was always a big Rooney fan. I always thought he was great. The era's changed so much in terms of what people like. I was never a flashy type of player. I liked a guy who, for me, that's why I said David Beckham. He was so good at free kicks, and I remember seeing him actually live in Montreal with LA Galaxy when he was at the end of his career, and he scored a screamer against the Impact.
Perfect. So I'm sure you watched soccer on TV growing up, but what was your first memory of this?
First memory would be 2006 World Cup, Argentina. I remember I played house league, and my jersey was Argentina, so by that I chose to be an Argentina fan. And then I learned about Messi. He had just started his career. Tevez, Hernan Crespo, there was a couple of really good players. And I remember watching them beat Cote d'Ivoire in their first ever World Cup 2-1.
Sure. Yeah. No, but I must say, they always had very good players.
Always.
That's actually why they're the the winners of the last World Cup.
Always the best, and just they have. I think the coaching is really good. They're so good technically and tactically, and
for sure. From when were you a kid until now, what major changes have you witnessed in the Quebec soccer world?
So in the Quebec soccer world, it's so funny. My brother and I run FMS Pro with my brother. And I always say to him, when we played, we didn't have the cameras at every game. We didn't have the VOs. We didn't have all the highlight tapes. We didn't have, people promoting showcases. We didn't have people that wanted to help. So it's crazy how it's evolved and how players really do want to play at the next level and are willing to do whatever it takes to get there.
And it's true, because I always talk about it with my players, and I always tell them that you need to realize, how lucky you are, and sometimes they don't. But do you know why they don't?
I think players take it for granted. They think, the base issue, not just even for the U.S., I think for everything is players here feel they're entitled and they feel they're owed something, and the reality is, you're a small fish in a big pond, because as you probably know from playing in Belgium, and whether you go to Europe or the States, you got to keep being the best, and that's what it comes down to. And nobody's owed anything. You got to go out and make your worth and show that you're the best and could dominate at that level.
And so what motivated you to create FMS Pro? Did you feel that there was a need to fill?
100%. You know, I've always had a passion for the agency side of things and helping players. I think I'm actually a much better consultant and advisor than a player. I was a good player. I was a hard worker, but I wasn't amazing. And I think like I've always been just really good at understanding players and what they want. And I felt there was a need in the Canadian market, but especially in Quebec. I felt players deserved better, and I felt I could provide something that, you know, wasn't here.
Okay. And if you can give me like with a few words a definition of FMS Pro.
FMS Pro, I mean, you know, I think I always say our reputation speaks for itself. I always tell people who don't know us, go out, you know, speak to anyone, ask how was your experience with them. You know, we care about our kids. I think that's the bottom line. We treat them like our little brothers or little sisters, and we help them find their goal. And our value is, and we always say this, is to find the right fit. I want to help young men and young women and set them up in the best place possible where they'll succeed both on and off the field, and using soccer to get an education. Now, the unfortunate truth is there's obviously still a profile for every kid, and that's where we identify what's the right fit for each kid and what makes sense for them. And, you know, I think we continue to help kids find places where they'll succeed.
Okay. And on all of that, what is the vision? What is the vision of FMS?
Well, I started 3 years ago, honestly, as a one-man show. And I'm very lucky. I have an amazing team behind me. And, you know, we're continuously growing very quickly. But I think the biggest thing is just to continue, you know, helping young men and young women at, you know, using soccer as a tool to get an education and find the right fit where they'll be successful, and then set them up. And, you know, I said in a speech, you know, we had our signing party a couple of weeks ago where all our class of 2025 university athletes came together and we celebrated. And like in my speech, what I said was, you know, for me, success is when one of my players called me this year to tell me he got an internship on Wall Street. You know, and he comes from a place where I know that they have very little means and finances are very difficult. So I've done my job. Obviously, if that kid becomes a pro, there's nobody that'd be more proud than me. And, you know, I'll be in the stands very happy. But at the end of the day, I want to set these kids up to help them use soccer to get a better future and to open up doors that maybe they wouldn't be able to open without the sport. So we all love the sport. We all are passionate about it. Let's use the sport to get us to get the best future and education possible.
Okay. And when we talk about the student athletes, what profiles FMS is looking for?
So it really depends. Obviously, everyone wants the best players, but, you know, every school values something different. They see the game differently. Some schools need a really good player that can afford to pay a good amount because they don't give a lot of scholarships. Some schools can afford a lot, but they have to be that much better of a player. I mean, every school is different. Every requirement is different. And that's the beauty of soccer is, again, going back to finding the right fit where they'll be happy.
Okay.
So to answer your question, I know I didn't really answer that. I would say it's like, again, it's very specific to each school because what school A and what school B both want could be completely separate.
It's just because it was a question that was really coming back, and I'm sure that you always have this kind of question. What is your success rate?
Oh, that's a good question. So in terms of players that work with us, the way that we work, I am a strong, firm believer you have to set the expectations before you work with someone. And I think that that's one of the biggest issues in Canada from what I've seen. I think that setting expectations is only fair to the player, to the family. And we have 100% placement for when we set the expectation and when we've both been on the same page that this is where we go. So what I mean by that is anyone who comes on board with FMS Pro and they want to work with us and we gather all the information they need to move forward, we have 100%. We've never not placed a kid now. I've had a kid or two before where they decide to not go in the end because they got into a really good program at McGill, where they decide that prep school's not right for them. That's happened before. But I've never had a kid who didn't have options.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And I'm pretty sure that the parents, when they're gonna hear that, because we have a lot of subscribers as parents, and they always want to make sure that they give their kids in good hand.
Totally.
Yeah, but please explain us the difference between prep school and university.
So prep school is a high school. It's a very, very expensive high school that does not give scholarships. It's financial aid. So it's based on family income. And it's amazing schools that open a lot of doors. I mean, prep school is a luxury. If you can go to prep school, it's just going to open the door that much more to university. And you're in the US. I do events in Montreal, but I do them twice a year. Imagine you can be within the system and in the US and they could constantly look at you. University is a university or a college. You're getting a bachelor's degree. Prep school is just a very bougie and high academic high school.
Okay. And in your experience, what is the priority for a student, like a student athlete?
I would say, every single athlete that ever meets with, my team and I, they always say to Jacob and I, we want to be a pro. Pretty much, I would say 99% of boys. Mm-hmm. And I always say the same thing. It's very difficult to be a pro. I'll never, ruin someone's dream. Obviously, you look at Moise Bombito who did it, so you could do it, but you got to be the best. There's no secrets. Yeah. And I'd be selling a dream if I said, I'll make you a pro. What I tell my kids is I'm going to put you in the best environment possible based on all the information we have and what we've seen. We'll put you in the best environment possible where you'll succeed on and off the field. And then if you take advantage of that and you dominate at that, then yeah, of course, doors are going to open. I think US is the land of opportunity, but there's no secret. You have to be the best. That's what it comes down to.
Well, that's great. Actually, you said a really good thing. You said that you are trying to put the players in the best environment possible. Actually, a few weeks ago, we invited Anis. I think you know him. Anis is the founder of Montreal Croc. And the best advice he gave, he said, if I can give an advice to the players, is to stay at school. So do you agree with that? And why?
100%. You're talking to someone who I got my degree in sports management, but I delayed it a little bit when I went to Europe. And I don't think it's sustainable to go to Europe at a young age. I just think you're going to, first of all, they don't need us. They have enough talent in all these countries, in Portugal and Spain and Germany. If you're so good in Canada, don't get me wrong, we have amazing, amazing players here, which is why I love this. But again, and I know many people don't value a degree. For them, all they want to do is to be a pro. The reality is, in today's day, in 2025, at least the way I see it, life is expensive. And even if you get lucky and you play in the MLS and you get to make $150,000, $200,000, you need a degree. You need to work after. You need to do something. So get a degree, go out and get a job after, set yourself up for your future. If you want to have a family, you want to have kids, you want to afford. So college is an amazing thing because you get to continue chasing that dream while still getting a degree. And that's, I'll be honest, I'm very obviously biased because my whole business is helping young men and young women to go to the States on scholarship. But at the end of the day, I feel that it's doing right for them. Mm-hmm. And, some people would say that they want to go to Europe and try, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't believe in it. I think it's very tough. I think especially if you don't have a passport, and I think you bounce around. And I think if you can dominate at the university level, you've shown that you can dominate against men and women. Then you go to Europe and you have a degree in your hand, so you have much less risk.
So we agree that the goals of every player are different. So you have players who wants to be professional, and you have players who just want to be, student athlete. They want to be able to still play soccer and to keep studying. So what do you say to those different kind of profile? What do you advise them?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. The ones who want to study and it's really let's use soccer to get a degree, they get it, right? We're on the same boat. So when we have a high academic kid, because chances are that kid is just high academic, if they want to, go school in soccer, I think they understand what the average kid is. You're going to the NCAA or to Canada, and you're using soccer as a tool to continue doing your degree. Make amazing friendships, make amazing relationships, and you're still going to school and playing at the same time. Okay. For the ones who want to be a pro, my speech is always the same thing. I'll put you in the best environment. You're getting a degree, so you're doing that, which is amazing. Even if you don't value the degree, at least you're getting one. And it's up to you to be the best player you can. And like you said, there's no right or wrong. Everyone has a different goal, but you also have to be realistic, and you want to set yourself up for your future. So how do you do that without reducing too much risk? And so in my opinion, that's why university is amazing, because you're keeping that risk at a low amount. You're still chasing that dream, but you're getting a degree.
And so what are the requirements to attend the prep school as a student athlete, and university as a student athlete?
So prep school, you have to get recruited usually. Again, finding the right school, and that's kind of what we do. We're an agency where families work with us to help them find the right prep school where it can make sense. And, we know the ins and outs of what school. Again, like you said, every athlete and every student's different. One student has a 95 average and they're a good player. One student has a 75 average and they're an amazing player. One student that's an 80 average and a good player. Like there's different, kids everywhere. So there's different schools, and you find that right fit. For university, same thing. When we work with kids, we try and find that right fit and help them. And whether it's boys, whether it's girls, doesn't matter the division. And that's where I feel setting that expectation beforehand is so important, because you obviously can't send, or you shouldn't send someone somewhere where they're really not going to succeed, because it's not fair to the kid, most importantly, but everyone's going to lose in that situation. You want to try and give them the best shot to put them in an environment where they'll be successful on and off the field. It's also academically, right? If a kid says, I want to study engineering, and you send them to a great business school, but they don't have engineering, they're not studying what they want to study. So that's where I think we come in, and we really help them find that right fit of what makes sense, and, determining, again, the best soccer fit to get them in the best school part.
And in your opinion, is soccer in Quebec going in the right direction?
100%. 100%. It's going totally in the right direction. I am so impressed with how much it's evolved from when I played and from when my brother played. And yeah, I think it's totally going in the right direction. I think everyone will have their opinion and differences on every province, but I think the improvement's crazy. I think it's been great.
And I have a second question. Do you think that the government is playing a big role, or let's say it's helping enough, the soccer world in Quebec, to keep growing?
It's a tough one. Because it's like, I don't know how they treat hockey and basketball. I actually don't know it well, so I couldn't compare to like other sports. But I could say from a technology and travel standpoint, from when I played to now, it's evolved a lot, the game. So I don't know if it's the government or not the government, but something's clearly going in the right direction, because there's been a lot of good evolvement that's happened.
Perfect. And please share one or two good stories since your program started.
One or two good stories. Oof. Okay. I had a player last year, and this player played CEGEP but didn't play a lot. I knew their talent. I knew how good they were. I think they were coming off an injury. They were kind of like my dark horse this year. They went in, and we really found the right fit. I wanted to set them up somewhere where they'd be successful, and they ended up winning like the best award you could win as a first-year kid. And my brother and I said, like, we really believed in this kid, but we were so impressed with how mature this player was, and dominated. And I think their ceiling is so high, and it was really cool to see that they went from like not playing in CEGEP to really dominating at the Division I level. So I thought that was really cool. Again, I think the story I mentioned before, having my player call me and say he's getting an internship and it's at a Fortune 500 job, that really made me happy. That kid knows they're like a little brother, and I was so proud of them, because I know how hard they've worked academically and athletically to get where they are. And to receive that phone call that they're going to be playing this summer USL2 and interning at an amazing company, to me, that's all I wanted when I helped them in the process.
Oh, okay. And why should student and parent watching this join FMS Pro?
I think if you're looking for good and honest work and people who care a lot about their kids, you come to us. I mean, I always tell people, at the end of the day, you can't force someone to go somewhere. There's other people out there, and I guess my advice would be do your homework. I'm very confident in our reputation. I'm very confident in my team. All the players who have ever worked with me knows that we care to the T on our kids, from the soccer to the school to everything. Like I said, they're like our little brothers and little sisters. This is our full-time job. It's not just a passion, but it's our life. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually not a tattoo guy, but my brother has FMS on his arm. So no, we're diehards all in, and we love what we do, and that's why I think we've done really well. And I always, to families and friends, say, if you don't know us, go ask around. Mm-hmm. Definitely do your homework, because a lot of people could sell a car, but I think you'll get good feedback and come back.
So what is next for you?
It's a big question. Already growing, quite rapidly. Again, my team and I think we're really doing our best to continue, deciding on the direction we want to go. Right now we're in a good spot. I think we have some exciting things which we can't announce yet, but will be coming soon. But right now it's just continuing to help mainly Canadian young athletes to achieve their goals, or at least point them in the right direction. And we'll go from there. We work a little international, but it's mainly Canadian. And I'm just super excited about, the upcoming events. Obviously, it's really going to be fun. It's going to be a great event. And then on the consulting side, we're so excited to continue helping these young men and young women achieve their goals.
Okay, so if you have like if you have 3 advices that let's say that you can give to a soccer player, which advice are you going to give them?
I'm going to give a very biased answer based on me, because it's determined, let's say it's directed based on my company. So the biggest advice I could give, and start young, is get good grades in school. You don't have to be a 90 student, but get the 70s and 80s. I was a 75 average student, and that was the difference between paying something, or let's say paying, a quarter or half or whatever it was at the time, and not paying, or paying very little, because you want academic scholarships. So get the best grades you can. The better your grades, the more doors you're going to open soccer-wise. Second advice I would give is just to keep working. Soccer is not a smooth ride. You're going to have obstacles. You're going to have ups and downs. You might have a coach that doesn't believe in you. You might have a coach that doesn't like you. You might not like a coach. At the end of the day, that's life. That's soccer. You got to overcome obstacles, and when one door closes, another opens. And I've learned that the ones who succeed, at least of my athletes, are the ones who stick it out and who just put their head down and continue working. And then my third advice would be to really just have fun. At the end of the day, this is soccer. This is the sport we all love. It's a passion. And I think the one thing that people could say at the next level is they love what they do. So the minute you stop loving the sport, there's something wrong. And you should always be loving it, even when you're at the highest level.
Perfect. I have a last question for you. So what discipline means to you? Because obviously there's one thing that I think that's one of the word that we hear a lot, when it comes to sport. But what is discipline for you?
It's a very good question. For me, at least, again, for FMS Pro, discipline would be seriousness. So that means responding in timely manner. That means doing the communication part properly. That means that when you say you're going to do something, you don't just say it, you do it. That means when you want to get the grades in school, you get the grades in school. That means when you go to work on the field, you go to work on the field. That means treating your body properly. That means eating properly. It's the lifestyle of a college or prep school athlete. And I think a lot of kids dream big, which is amazing. You got to dream, but you got to be realistic too. If you're not going to treat yourself like a pro athlete, or let's say like a college or a prep school athlete, you're obviously not going to go on a scholarship, because how could you do that if you don't treat yourself like that? And there's obviously exceptions to the rule, and you see, you know, really talented kids that go, but they don't, you can only go so far. A certain point, it's going to catch up. So it's the things you need to do, you have to do. And I think that's discipline.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you
accepting
so
your
much
invitation.
for having me.
And actually, do you think that we might be able to do like a second part?
Absolutely.
You know,
I would love
let's
to.
say 1 year from now.
I would love to. Absolutely. My pleasure.
But I really think that this interview is going to help a lot of parents, a lot of students as well. So thank you again for accepting our invitation. And dear subscribers, thank you. See you soon. And stay strong.
Yeah.